Well, we're just making our way north on the western side of New Caledonia, heading for Noumea. And you can see why they call this New Caledonia. It is a lot like Scotland. The land has got a lot of iron in it. They do mining here, and it's very rugged. Rugged and sparsely forested. It's been pretty cool. We're wearing long sleeves and sweaters, especially at night. Well, we're almost there now. Had a trouble with the furler. Gonna have to pull the sail down, the Genoa down when we get to Noumea, and see if we can fix it. Well, we walked into an area in Noumea that was kind of residential and closed office furniture places and things like that, but then, strange to say, we found this little cafe in the middle of nowhere here, and we get to have a little bit of supper finally. Yes, it's been a very, very tiring day. In order to catch the tide at slack, at the pass into this second largest lagoon in the world, it was necessary to get there at about 4:30 in the morning. So I've been up since 4:30 and I'm actually exhausted. And at some point started to wonder if maybe I was having a heart attack or something like that, because I'm not feeling well at all. But once I got to sit down for a while and relax, I felt a lot better. We had problems with the Genoa furler. It completely furled itself out while I'm holding the furling line in my hand. So we think we have that fixed up. It's a matter of putting too much pressure on certain parts in the furler. I'm not going to get into it, but anyway, we think we have that figured out now and kind of fixed. So anyway, we're here in Noumea. Tomorrow we have to go visit immigration, but everything else was handled right from the marina office, which is nice. We're at Port Moselle Marina, and they handle a lot of the details. And we're once again in the first world. This is France. Smoking in restaurants, sweaters decorating shoulders, that sort of thing. We're enjoying ourselves here. This is Noumea. This is the square, the main square in town. Yeah. Well, on the 29th of June, we found ourselves here at the New Caledonia Parc Zoologique and Forestier. It's a bit of a job to find it. It's way up in the hills. We had to turn around a couple of times. I was full of wonderment as to whether we were going the right way, but we found the place, finally. It's the first day of our 2-day car rental. Yeah, from the main administration building, this is just a view looking out one of the windows. You can see one of those strange trees that I noticed on Ile Marais on the way in. Mind you, the trees on that island were very blasted, and some were missing most of their branches, so it looked really bizarre. These are in excellent shape. Or that one's in excellent shape. There's some others here too. So we're looking around. Where are the barn owls? And then we happen to look up and
way up.
Look way up. And they're all there looking down at us.
Very seriously.
Yeah. They're taking some shade up there underneath the overhang. We're off to see the monkeys. The wonderful monkeys of New Caledonia.
Budgies. Budgies. You used to have budgies at home.
Budgies. A pigtail macaque. These are rainbow lorikeet. This is the kagu, endemic, flightless, endangered. Very nice one here. Yeah. They're quite big. They're like the size of a small chicken. And look at that, the feathers around its neck. And here's a whole little line of these cook pines, we believe. These ones, of course, in excellent shape. Unlike the blasted ones that were on island of Mara. Definitely pines, with a leaf that feels like plastic almost. These are Senegal parrots. Noisy.
They're talking to us.
Since the last bird there, we've entered the African exhibit out of the indigenous animals. These are sun parakeets. run like a chicken. Yeah, these are spider monkeys. Black-handed spider monkeys and Joffrey's spider monkey. Mm-hmm.
There he is, yeah.
He was following along on the other side of the fence as we were walking quite a distance and just watching us. As if the tables were turned somehow.
But now we're not so interested.
Yeah. And now we're at the Tjibaou Cultural Centre. Our next stop. It was quite a bit of an ordeal to get here. Lots of U-turns, because there's like innumerable roundabouts and some aren't on the map, so it's difficult. Apparently in this area there was a woman who really enjoyed having sex, and all the men wanted to have sex with her, but she wasn't feeling very well, so she was always saying no. And then a giant heard about her, and he came running down to the village, and he came running down like this, and he ran so fast to get to her he fell over and landed on the reef and broke the reef open. And part of the reef moved west and part of the reef moved east. And this giant and the woman jumped into the ocean and lived happily ever after outside the reef. And that's how the pass in the reef was created, in case you were wondering. This is contemporary Oceania art. And on the same site is this traditional village of the Kanak people. I guess the Kanak people have had somewhat of a turbulent past here, I guess, in dealing with the French and possibly with others, I don't know. Anyway, some displays in there of their leaders who have been murdered and such back early part of the 1900s. And even today they say there are certain tribes, when you visit, you get the typical kind of Melanesian hospitality, which is great. But then there's other places too where they don't tolerate outsiders. It's really more of an art gallery, I guess, and a cultural center, more than any kind of a museum. That ceiling is really high. That's got to be about 60, 70 feet. All the posts here have carvings on them. And obviously they use this for some kind of ceremonial stuff. Okay. Another one of those weird pines. Well, in the ancient story of the creation of the world, the moon threw down his tooth into the sea to hit the rock. And the tooth decayed. And creatures were born out of the decaying tooth, and some slid into the water and became eels, and I suppose fishes, and other ones stayed on the land.
Became lizards.
And became lizards. Or the moon threw down a yam cake wrapped in leaves into the water, and from that people sprang. You have to decide which religion you belong to. This is a Kanak garden with female symbol there.
Banana trees in the background.
Yeah. This is like a nature walk that goes around the outside, giving various aspects of the culture and beliefs of the Kanak people. Oh, we stopped our daily activities here at Baie de Citron. And we're going to have a little pizza and wine. But first, we're making use of French people's affection of doing the right thing. Look at this. Wooden benches like this, relaxing benches that you can put your feet up on. For la public. Incredible. Yeah, this morning we're at the Aquarium just south of Noumea. And these little guys are like mud skippers or something like that. Kind of the link between fish and man. Life in a tidal pool. And this is where they find dugongs in New Caledonia. We came to see the dugongs. There are no dugongs here. Yeah, it's a film presentation apparently, and that's all they have here. So we didn't get to see our buddies. Anyway, that's kind of disappointing. Well, we're finally out of the city now and heading out for a little country drive. And you can see that really out in the country as well. New Caledonia is still first world. Not any kind of a sense that there's any money lacking or anything. Still plenty of roundabouts. And here comes another one. We got to figure out where we're going. Yate is on the left. Third one, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's best. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me just double check that.
Well, we finally made it to the Parc Provincial La Rivière Bleue. And this is one of the two trails that we'd like to do. They're only half an hour long because we're old. And
It's late in the day.
Yeah, it's late in the day, and already they have closed. About 8 minutes ago, they closed the gates to come in here. They give you 3 hours before you have to come out, before they lock the gate. So we should be fine. And there's the first trail we're going to do. I was curious to see what New Caledonia looks like once you get away from the city. I wasn't sure if perhaps the farther you got away from the city, the more primitive it started to be. You know, there might be villages of rudimentary structures and stuff, but in fact it is all first world. It started off seeming to me like a hilly or a small mountainy version of Ontario on its roads and the things that you were seeing as you're going by, or you might say British Columbia in the mountains. And then as we got up here where it's a little drier, it started actually to look a bit like driving in Arizona, although the roads were excellent. As a matter of fact, the road in here, the highway up here was newly paved, very smooth, and just wonderfully windy and stuff, like a motorcyclist's dream. Not a difficult path, but enjoyable. You see what the landscape is like. Trees kind of top out around 12 feet. I guess if you go higher than that, of course. Here's some palms here and there.
Many different kinds of palms.
Yeah, we're just looking at that display board, talking about them. And this is a bridge crosses across the lake.
Gate.
Lake Gate?
Gate, yeah.
Gate. And the water flows from left to right. This is Rivière Blanche. Our next and last sentier, ooh, that's slippery on the side, is called Hoop Géant. And may sound like it's making a big loop, but it doesn't. It's an L-shaped path that you turn on. So anyway, we'll see what this one's all about. We rose a lot in elevation from the level of the river and the lake down there. So we've climbed up, so we might get a really nice view on the trail. And if we don't, there's a couple of viewpoints that are like right at the end of this walk. In other words, at the car park, and we'll go and take a look. The indigenous Kanak people here have not accepted, all of them have not accepted France's lead in steering the country along. And it's quite an independence movement. One of the independence leaders was assassinated, and before that he saw his brother die, and I don't know, there was a number of other members of his family that went in separate incidents. The people who were charged with it were acquitted. It was not difficult to understand. They were probably those who thought the French should maintain control. Perhaps the French themselves. So you will find a lot of places where the villages have the normal Melanesian welcoming, but there are other villages where they won't tolerate outsiders. And here, when you arrive in a village, there is also the same kind of thing to go through with kava or something else, a DVD or something like that. Here it's called kutum. Or custom. So we've been trying to avoid that. We gave our last kava away to some guy who was being nice, and I'm trying to remember 2 bunches to somebody else, and now I can't remember, but if I can remember, I'll put it as text on the movie here. Not that it really matters. Anyway, we didn't want to buy any more. Okay, well, the hoop is a tree found up to about 1,000 meters of altitude. Oh my goodness.
There it is, right there. I bet you.
Oh.
Look at the sign. Yeah, it says the circumference is 9 meters.
Oh my goodness. That is a huge, huge tree. Yeah. Yes, at the base it'd have to be circumference of 9 meters. Right. So about it seems like about a diameter of about 4 meters. Maybe 5. I'm not going to bother doing the math, by the way. The guide seems to indicate that this is an Araucaria tree.
Yeah, you look up at the needles up above, it could be.
Yeah. Okay. If this is, it's tremendously tall. Hard for me to hold it at that zoom, almost straight up over my head. I wanted to see if we could see the giant hoop tree. Then we climbed up to it. It's up there somewhere. Nothing really stands out. Anyway, we're here at the viewpoint. And now, to head back. Well, it's July 5. We were going to stop a night at Signal Island, just outside of Noumea, not very far. But we had a real problem with trying to pick up a mooring ball in the wind, the strong wind. The bow, I mean, Carol did a beautiful approach to the mooring ball. I was at the bow there trying to grab it with a boat hook. And the wind grabbed the bow and started to take us away, and there's just no way in 20 knots of wind I was going to be able to hang on to the boat hook. I had to let it go into the water. And we did a recovery of the boat hook before it got over the reef, but we ran over a mooring ball while we were doing it, or we were so involved in trying to do that, and for a second there didn't know what the clatter was as the propeller chipped away at the mooring ball's anchor line. And then we noticed what it was seconds later. Anyway, so we did manage to take another pass at the recovery of the boat hook and got it back successfully off the swim platform, from the swim platform, and then we decided just to give it up. It was either that or launch the dinghy and go and try to take the ball that way, but that was going to be pretty difficult. And we also considered backing up to the, well, I didn't actually consider backing up to it until afterwards. That occurred to me, we might have been able to do that. But in the end, Carol said, well, why don't we just forget about this and carry on. We're cleared out of the country and everything, so yes, why not indeed. So that is what we've done. And now we're en route for Bundaberg, Australia. Wind's a little stronger than forecast. It's only supposed to be about 9 knots out here. It's actually 20. But we're running with it, so it's pretty good. Carol's feeling a first day seasickness, so she's having a bit of a lay down, but it doesn't seem to be affecting me at all today. Strange to say. And my sensations of maybe having a heart attack or whatever it was that had happened before was probably just a bit of flu. And it seems to have eased off now to nothing as well. So I'm in pretty good shape. So we say goodbye to New Caledonia. Didn't get a lot of video there of the sailing or the island itself, I'm sorry to say, but we were only there for a very brief time. It was just a rest stopover as we continue on toward our Australian destination. and we have a timeshare to go to just outside of Sydney. So, should be fun. This passage should be about 5 days or so, I think. It's hard to judge for what Prince Diamond's going to do these days, because with the new propeller and the slippery bottom, it is fast. We were doing 7.5 knots coming out of the pass, or before we hit the pass actually, in Noumea on the way out. And that's with that 20 knots of wind, so we've been doing all right. Much faster boat now than it used to be. That's one of the clearest sunsets we've had in a long time.